So we want to have further discussion in regards to this. Now joining me in studio right now is Dr. Francis Kuria. He is the Executive Director of the Interreligious Council of Kenya. And apart from that, he's also the Secretary General of the African Council of Religious Leaders. Thank you so much for joining us here on News Center. All right, so first things first, there has been quite a conversation, apart from the electoral laws amendments, about the religious groups here in Kenya. I'd like you to give us a difference between your council and the one that was on TV the day before yesterday, giving their suggestions about this whole conversation.
Yes, the Interreligious Council of Kenya is an old organization. We have membership from all the mainstream religious groups, the Catholic bishops, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, the Evangelical Alliance, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the Organization of African Instituted Churches, which brings in together the indigenous churches that are registered. We have the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, the National Muslim Leaders Forum, the Council of Imam and Preachers of Kenya. We have the Sharia and Sharia, and we have the Hindu Council. There are nine main groups that form the Interreligious Council of Kenya. We have been doing this work for quite some time. There are this new group which announced the other day that they are called the Interfaith Council of Kenya. Yeah. It's new. We have not heard of it before. But we do know the individuals involved. They are religious leaders in Kenya. Bishop Honorable Ndichu is well known as a former MP. Bishop Kibarabara is well known. And he's United Christian Councils of Kenya. And Bishop Ndishu, I think, they are together with Bishop Michuki in they call it the Kenya National Congress of Churches of Kenya.
All right.
Yeah, these are religious leaders. They are mainly Pentecostal Christian churches in that grouping. It's unfortunate they did not agree with us in the statement that we had released earlier, but again, there is freedom of association, there is freedom of thought, and the people are free to air what they feel. But it's not so good when religious groups appear to be divided. Yeah, because that's where I would come to, Dr. Kuria, because especially being the church, there should be some very solid leadership from the whole, spectrum of churches. But why is it not the case? Well, sometimes it's not, the Interreligious Council of Kenya, we actually represent more than 95% of the religious groups in Kenya. But there's always that one bit which have not conformed. There are some of these members, some of these groups have actually applied to join the Interreligious Council of Kenya. The process is still ongoing. They have not met all the conditions that we have put in place because we do want, as an interfaith group ourselves, to have a robust system to make sure that we check on each other. And we believe that with time, as we discuss with them, they're going to join the Interreligious Council of Kenya, and this division, this new group that appears to be different, will able to solve that. But obviously there is need for more discussion, but I think also there is need to respect the established groups that are there and that have provided leadership on this matter for quite some time. All right, so let's talk about that day when they came on air and they gave their opinion about this whole conversation as the Interreligious Council of Kenya. First of all, what do you think about what they're saying? They supported the move by the National Assembly to have these amendments. Yeah, I believe that that is the position they took. I don't know who advised them. But as you know, the Interreligious Council of Kenya has a very robust system. It has a technical working group that is advising the religious leaders on the positions they take. In this instance, our position has been very clear that we were part of the process that led to the negotiations and the enactment of this law. We would want the country to go through a process of consensus building because this is a very sensitive issue, this is a very emotive issue, and we don't want a situation where one group feels that they are being marginalized, or they are being forced to do, or they are being forced into a contest in which they don't agree with the rules that have been set for that contest. And therefore, consensus building in an election is very, very critical. And therefore, that's why we advised when we appeared before Senate, please try as much as possible to go into consensus building. It's true, the democracy requires that the minority have their say and the majority have their way, but in this case, we would want you to have a different view, to have a different mindset, that this is for all of us, Kenya. This is setting the rules of a game, and we want the other contestants to feel comfortable with the rules that have been set, and therefore building consensus on this issue is very, very vital. People should not say that we have the numbers and therefore we pass whatever we want.
So you're saying that there should be dialogue between the parties to come up with an agreement. But in regards to this conversation that has taken center stage about having a manual backup, where does the Interreligious Council of Kenya stand?
Well, the stand of Interreligious Council of Kenya is that we didn't want to go into the technicalities of it, because we believe that the Senate had opportunity to invite the technical experts that are necessary to give this view. If I can say on a personal level, listening to the Senate hearings yesterday, obviously there are credible alternatives, complementary. By the way, the law as it's written, even the amendment talks of a complementary system. It doesn't talk of a mono system. And therefore, I especially like the idea of if the results transmission, the database that they have set up fails like it did in 2013, then there is a very important and easy option of scanning the results and sending. You can even photograph. Nowadays, everybody has a...
You have WhatsApp.
You have WhatsApp. You can actually photograph the form and send it, pending the system, if it's been repaired, if it's been fixed, and therefore you verify everything. Or even the form will be sent manually. It can be verified later, but the transmission is electronic in the sense that the Form 16 or the Form 34 is actually scanned and sent. And there are, and I've spoken to a few people, there are software which can actually convert PDF files into data, into databases. So the photograph or the scanned form can actually be turned into data that then can be added up together. Of course, some people have even suggested an even much simpler system. And the simpler, the better. That, in fact, what is there in the Form 16 can actually be typed into a simple Excel and sent. It's still electronic.
It's still electronic.
Yeah.
I think we've trivialized this electronic.
Yeah. We have made it look very complicated. When you make it complicated, it becomes then expensive. It becomes, it looks as if it all fails. As far as the electronic voter identification is concerned, people have been talking of backup, but that does not mean backup. What you need is redundancy. What it means is that if you don't have a system per se, one machine serves a polling center or a polling station, and that polling station probably has 700 people. So that one machine is not connected to any other machine. That one machine just serves 700 people. Now, it's not that machine, if it fails, what you need is another machine to come.
It's another machine.
So if you have 10 machines and you have a redundancy of 3 other machines, that's a backup. So you have 3 extra machines to back up 10 machines in case there is...
In case there's a problem.
In case there's a problem. I mean, it's not very complicated.
Sounds so simple, when you're explaining it, but it's been trivialized. Very, very quickly, I'd like to hear your thoughts, because we're going into an electioneering period. You'd expect, like I mentioned, the church, all this, the umbrella body that are representing different churches like yours, and now this other interfaith, to be speaking in one voice. What are you going to do to have this, go back to how it always was, that when the church speaks, it's just one voice. We don't have this religious council and another one on the other side speaking a different...
Yeah, I believe that the senior religious leadership are sized of this matter. We have advised them appropriately, and I believe that they'll be reaching out to these other religious leaders so that we do have that one voice that is critical at times like this when the country is divided. We also don't want the religious groups to be divided.
To be divided?
Yeah.
All right.
So the religious leaders will be reaching out to the other religious leaders so that we do not have these discordant voices that mess the place.
All right. Thank you so much. He is Dr. Francis Kuria, the Executive Director of the Interreligious Council of Kenya, and is also the Secretary General of the Africa Council of Religious Leaders. Thank you so much for your time.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
All right, so we want to take a break here on News Center to drink some water. Don't go away. We'll be right back. I can see Zinzi Kibiku. She has already gotten into studio. She's going to be talking to us about what's trending. All right, so don't go away. We'll be right back.